Alright, hit the button. Yeah, I'm making a video. Yeah, tired and cold, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. Thunderfoot. Alright, and some other guy. I'll switch to the other video. You know, free will stuff. I mean, really, this conversation should be over. Piro made a video too, you know, where he talked about changing our mind or changing how we think, and it's like somehow we can do that. We is always this words we use, and you know, we've sort of been through this, you know, with the modern mystic conversations and whatnot. And I know I can't expect that, you know, we have the conversation, we basically settle it, and then the rest of the world catches on right away, and we don't have to do it anymore. But it really is annoying, because there is no you. There's your brain. You know, you don't do anything consciously. You don't do a single thing consciously. Your consciousness just sees what you do. It's the witness to what you do, what your brain produces. Everything I just said was not consciously constructed. It was constructed inside my brain. My brain thought it. My brain said it. My brain wills. Okay? I don't will. My brain wills, and we know my will is constructed by my life experience and how I mimic what I've seen, how my brain associates, connects things together. Like right now, it just connected this idea that you know, even a sentence, even the understanding of your own mechanics of how your brain is working. You can see yourself thinking. You can go back and look at the sentence and say, where did it get the sentence from? And then you can see the associations. It has an echo in your consciousness of the stuff related to it. It's on the surface. It's right there on the edge, and you can go chase it backwards, and you can basically see the connections that made you who you are, the people, the events, the associations, the connected ideas, the principles. Like you heard somewhere a principle, and now that principle floats around inside of your brain logically and says, and it attaches itself to all these associations, and so it refines how you think and what you think. You think, what your brain constructs as your thoughts, what it constructs as your personality. But that's what's doing it. Your brain is constructing it. You're not consciously in control. Okay? There's just this mechanism of software. There's programs running inside your head. Doesn't really matter how many. And one of them throws something into the pool, into the subconscious, and the other programs look at it and say, I like it or I don't like it. And they fiddle with it, and they refine it, and they turn it into a sentence, and they make it grammatically correct, and they do all this thing I'm just doing right now, this conveying of an idea, this conversation. It's constructing it logically out of what it's learned through life experience, and how it understands how you throw a sentence together, and how you convince people of something. And it's all through, you know, millions of seconds of life experience, absorbing an understanding of how to do it, how to throw the ball. And that's all we're doing. We're pitching or we're hitting, and we're doing it in a mechanical way through muscle memory. And that's the game we're playing. And there's nothing free in it at all. It's all made out of bytes of information connected. And just like this computer functions without flaw, without error, unless there's some sort of mechanical problem, you know, some sort of overheating. But there's no quantum irregularity. There's no anything that's affecting its function. It's not going to start answering if-or statements inside the software program erroneously. And that's how our brain works. That's the level of the universe we're on. As conference report, we're middle-sized objects in this middle plane of perception. But who knows where the middle is? Because again, it's just perception. We can't see beyond the universe, and we can't see inside the quanta. So anyway, I found this part of Thunderfoot's video just, the rest of his video was just nonsense. I mean, just arguing some sort of, because theists are trying to use some sort of free will argument to argue for the authority or existence of God. I don't even understand the argument. He's turning that around on them and saying then their God doesn't have free will. But it would be stupid to think that the God had any, well, I mean, we are in his image by some religions. You know, so yeah, he would be this fallible thinker, relying on logic, but you would think if he was around forever, his logic would be perfect. But obviously it seems kind of flawed, you know, as he had to keep rewriting the contract. I made a mistake. Whoops. Didn't mean to kill everybody in that flood thing. Yeah, I just had a bit of an attitude that day. I mean, whatever. I mean, religion's nonsense. Just call it what it is. It's just absolute fairy tale nonsense. That's all you need to argue. So anyway, let's go with this. This part really irritated me.
Simplistic notions of determinism. Heisenberg.
But simplistic notions of determinism, and now they're going to talk about this Heisenberg thing, and it really is annoying.
Thing comes along and proposes the Heisenberg uncertainty principle and says, nonsense. There's uncertainty. You don't know where the electron is.
Yeah. Look, let's not put words in Heisenberg's mouth, okay? He didn't say the uncertainty is in the particle. He said the word uncertainty. That just means that we can't be certain because we can't see it. All right? We can't measure the photon's velocity and direction thing. We can't do it because we can't have, there's no ruler, there's no yardstick, there's no measuring device, there's no impact. We can't rub up against a photon and glean some information off of it without completely fucking up what it is and what it's doing. And that's the truth of it. There's no subtle influence. You either change the road or you don't change the road, but you can't just a little bit of an influence. And so you either smash it or you don't smash it. You either stop it or you don't. You crash it or that's it. There's just crash and that's it. There's nothing else. There's no other way to inspect the little critters because we don't have a photon to bounce off of the photons.
It could be here, or many places simultaneously.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he did that simultaneously thing. And regardless, what is that? It could be. So all of a sudden we take everything in our universe, we've sort of figured out that there's none of this astrology crap, and there's no special this, and there's no secret that, and there's no leprechauns, and we've gotten rid of all the uncertainty bullshit in our real world. Okay, the one because we can examine it, we can pull out the microscope or the device, and we can demonstrate it. And so how come all of a sudden all the mystery is where we can't see? The one closet, the one door we can't see behind because we don't have the telescope, we don't have the mechanics to do it, is the place where things are in two places at once. Where all of a sudden all the rules of physics break down and all of a sudden particles are doing whatever it is they're doing. You know, they're just randomly doing different things or being in two places at once. And somehow that's going to account for something called free will. Like somehow your will is going to be constructively influenced by random errors, by random events. Somehow a random changing from a yes to a no is somehow going to do your will some good, that somehow it's going to make your will more logical or more reasonable. No, it can only be destructive to your will. It can only make you seem more erratic and unlucid, irresponsible, incompetent, non-functional. It can't give you something that everybody has a common notion of free will. It's not going to make your will better. It's going to make you freaking retarded. That's the only possibility here. So then it just becomes retarded will, not free will.
This, of course, Einstein hated because he said God doesn't play dice with the universe.
Yeah, and I wish he could have figured out how to screw with that whole formula of his and keep his energy going so he could be here to defend himself and argue with you jackasses and explain to you that this fucking goddamn bullshit principle is just an idea where you're taking a fact that he would agree with, that we can't see the damn particle. We can't be certain what its velocity or position is. We can only guesstimate. So we say, here's the field, here's the range it's in, and we create quantum mechanics to be able to deal with the fact that we don't have certainty. And he wouldn't have any problem with that. But no, you've got to go a step further and say, no, there's magic in the uncertainty. The uncertainty isn't a failure of our senses, that the uncertainty is in the particle itself. And that's the bullshit. That's where you have no evidence.
Well, hey, get used to it.
So this is a physicist, right? And so he's going to say Einstein's wrong, and what's his evidence, his demonstration of Einstein being wrong? The fact that we can't see the damn particle. So that proves the particle's in two places at once? I don't think so.
Einstein was wrong.
Pseudo-science much? No, I'm afraid not. You have no evidence that Einstein was wrong. You have no proof that Einstein was wrong. You have nothing, okay? You have a theory, okay, that's made possible because you can make up anything that fits into the circumstantial result, which is here's the range of our error, because we can't know, and so this is the range of error, and yeah, you can make up anything in that range of error. You can make up any kind of Bugs Bunny story that as long as it stays within that container of the error, and that you call that science. You know, I call it something else.
Comes the real question. You will recall people who pimp logic, one of the most robust of all models, has as one of its axioms: things that are identical are identical.
Oh, whatever. Things that are identical. Who cares? I mean, this idea of taking, conference reports, sort of playing with logic, and he's playing with it, in my opinion, in ways that are just kind of obviously wrong. I mean, in his latest example, he has a piece of paper. On one side of the paper it says what's on the other side of the paper is false, and the other side of the paper says what's on the other side of the paper is true. Yeah, well, one of those statements is wrong, right? Yeah, one of them is false, and one of them is accurate. Okay, they're not both accurate, so there's no paradox, there's no problem. And the same is true with your other statement. The other one was the other side of the paper doesn't exist. Well, of course it does exist. So it's a false statement. So now the two sides of the statements are, the one statement is true, the other statement is false, and now there's no paradox again. So again, I call bullshit on that. So anyway, this other guy made a response video, and just really, here's conference reports, piece of paper video. Just kind of annoying, I gotta say. That's Thunderf00t's video. Where's the freaking video I want to respond to? Paradox, no. It's gotta be this one here. No, that's not it. Where'd it go, damn it? Someone stole the damn thing. I was going to say shit, but that wouldn't be a good word to say in the middle of a video. But I've said that before. Oh, okay, it must be over here, actually. No, not there. Oops, I didn't want to hit that. Not there. Not there. Alright, it's one of these response videos, so I'll just go down to these responses. I think it's this one here. All the rest of the responses, of course, there's whatever, 20 or 30 responses, and of course none of them are on the damn subject. Really annoying. This guy's intro is longer than his freaking video.
Influences if you decide to eat the chips. The idea of determinism doesn't overturn the idea of free will.
Here we go.
It just shows that the free will has been determined.
Now, does that make any sense whatsoever? Determinism doesn't undo the idea of free will. I mean, just what sense does it? It's not even a rational statement. And the word free in this context is just so stupid. Free from what? Free of what? Your life experience? I don't think so. Free from, like, okay, I'm just going to pretend I know how to play the piano. I'm just going to will it. Well, no, you're not. Okay, you're going to have to make that will out of practice, out of experience, out of knowledge, out of information.
Say that there is no free will and everything has purely been determined. You might as well just send everything to nihilism, as nothing will make any difference.
Brilliant. Again, I mean, you can't say it's determinism and then say anything you do. Because guess what? There isn't anything. Anything isn't your choice of things to do. You will do what your personality makes you do. You will do what your brain, me brain, is programmed. And me brain will make me do things. And if I have some stupid notion in my head that I don't have to do it now because it's determined, well, it's not. Martin Luther King still had to get up and make the speeches, and he had to spread the memes, and he had to, you still have to be your pool ball, and you still have to do your interaction. You still have to read your damn script, all right, for the future to remain the future, or else you've changed it. Okay, so, and that might be part of the determinism. Part of the determinism would be that some idiot like you makes some batshit video, and you get some guy to be thinking, oh, it doesn't matter what I do because it's all determined it did. And so he just decides to sit on his couch instead of, like, you know, put the fire out in the kitchen. And he burns to death, and he would have cured cancer, or whatever the scenario is. But no, that's not the way it works. All right, yeah, every thought we have is part of the determinism. We have the idea, we say the word determinism. That's part of the determinism. I was determined. It was determined 4 billion years ago. It was determined 15 billion years ago that I would say the word determined right now. That's just the way it worked out. And so what? Who cares? What's the difference whether I'm reading a script? The point is, I don't know I'm reading a script. I can't see the script. It feels spontaneous to my consciousness that's watching it happen before it and is reacting to what is happening. I mean, it all feels like it's live. So what's it matter of whether it's Memorex or not? Who cares whether it's a tape running? Okay, we're not experiencing as a tape running, but this whole idea that somehow we have control or that we can choose options. No, we can't. We're going to be who we are. We're going to be what we are. And we're not going to grow wings and fly. We're not going to be able to jump 40 feet instead of 5 feet. I mean, this is the reality of the circumstance. So, and the fact that it's determined does not turn anything into nihilism. It doesn't turn anything into I don't care anymore. Because, of course, you have to read your script. I mean, you know, the nurse still has to put the bandage on the wound. I mean, how's the metaphor? I mean, all that stuff still has to happen, or there will be a different reality. So if your deterministic role is going to be is to get the word determinism in your head and say, well, it's all determined, so I don't have to do anything anymore because somehow somebody else is going to go do my job, you know, well, that ain't going to happen. You're going to still have to read your script. For the reality to take place. So your role is, you're still a cog, you're still a pool ball on the table. You can't just extract yourself from it and say, I'm a nihilist now, I don't have to worry about my interactions anymore. Well, that's not gonna, you can't do it in the first place, but it's stupid to even worry about doing it, because it's not something, it's just not even, it's not something within the game we're playing. It's not part of the game. And so again, free will from what? An uncertainty principle regarding subatomic particles. And somehow through that, you're going to acquire something called the ability to step beyond your own understanding or beyond your own physical competence. No. You're going to be who you are. And you're going to think, and then you're going to think a second time and a third time, and even if you think 600 times, maybe if you really struggle with it, you strain your brain, all it doesn't matter. That's all part of the course of who you are. That's part of your personality. That's what you do. And even though it seems like somehow it's different, because, okay, now I'm really thinking, you know, I want to sit and think really hard now. I want to change the future by thinking really hard. Well, saying those words, I'm going to change the future by thinking really hard, that's something that changes the future. I mean, that's something that's part of your script reading, and now that's changed who you are, because now you understand that if you think about something, it changes how you behave. You know, if you count to 10, you know, that changes what the behavior you're gonna perpetrate. These are all little tools you have, and you acquire those tools, and they become part of who you are. But there's no freedom here. You're not free to not be you. You're not free to not be what your brain understands and connects. And certainly your brain is capable of having a notion in there that says, I don't like obeying the rules, so I will decide to be a jackass. Or, I want, and so I don't care if I'm going to cheat to get. And you could say, well, somehow you made a choice. Well, you didn't make a choice. The thing talking didn't make a choice. The brain associating made a choice. The brain balancing made a choice. And it made its decision because it had some kind of little selfish, gear work tied in there that said, my need is more important than the risk I'm taking with somebody else's welfare, or some other equation like that. And the fact is that we're compelled because we're compelled by these motivating feelings. And so, it just happens to be the day when you're just vulnerable because you feel you're too sensitive. You just can't take it this day. So you do something irregular one day. It's not because you did something irregular to your personality. It's that you did something consistent with your personality, but consistent with your personality under stress, under a different circumstance than maybe it was under in some other circumstance. All right, no point in beating it to death, but people really got to get this thing. There is no you here. All right, your consciousness is this thick. Your consciousness is a plane. It's just a membrane that the subconscious shoots crap through. So you see the shit come in. It comes in through your senses. You're consciously aware of that. All right, but that's all you are. It's just a split second of a conscious awareness, and your brain is what regurgitates the meaning, that regurgitates the I can identify the pieces in here, and it throws that back through the plane. But nothing stays in consciousness. Nothing. It's just a place that things go through. It's just a screen that projects the end result, the product of your will, the product of your emotional state, what you feel, and what thought or connected associations, conceptions are just projected onto it, and that's it. It's just a screen, and that's the you. That's the thing you feel as your identity. But it's all brain. It's your brain that creates it. Your brain is the projector. You're not in control of the projector. The projector is just running the tape that's being made through your life experience. All right, no point in beating it to death. But yeah, I mean, this you thing, the I thing, people can use these words, but they always have to do it understanding that concept of an I is totally screwed up. The whole concept that you are doing something when it's your brain that is doing it. Like I said, I mean, you can see it. You can understand it. Just utter some words and you'll realize your consciousness didn't utter the words. Your subconscious made the sentence and it came out and you're like, oh, wow, I just said that. You don't know you didn't know it until it came out of your mouth. So anyway, yeah, probably enough. All right, call it a video. But it's a subject. It really just be way over. The word freedom is just stupid. It shouldn't exist. Freedom is just the white space left over. When you fulfilled responsibility or obligation. Demand, when you fulfilled the things that you're demanded, or that are required, or that are part of the notion of responsibility, then freedom exists outside of that. Whatever doesn't exist in there is your freedom. Okay, but your freedom is always confined by what you can't do, things that are outside the realm of your no, I don't want to go there. But yeah, I mean, you don't have the freedom to just go outside and say, I'm going to fly to Mars. Just ain't going to happen. Yeah, and you don't have the freedom to think ideas that haven't been constructed through your learning language, learning how to think, learning about what words mean, learning what the concepts are, seeing how other people combine them and use them, and your brain is mimicking all that. And you have to have that experience. If you don't have that experience, you can't construct the idea, the principle, the conception. It's just not going to exist for you. Well, anyway, I don't think that was all that helpful. There's no you, though. Just get used to that. There's your brain. Brain. Your brain is manufacturing your consciousness. It's a phenomenon your brain is manufacturing. That's why you have billions of brain cells in there, those little neurons that aren't doing anything else but connecting things electrically. That's all they do. They don't make cement. They don't, they don't do anything else. That's what they do. And that's why there's billions of them, because they're creating your perception of an identity. They're creating the screen and the projector and playing a movie for you to witness. Yeah, okay.